Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome everyone to the 4th edition of Ada Wawasan. And I'm Shasha Jamal, your moderator for today. For today's Ada Wawasan, there has been so much noise regarding the property market in Malaysia that the country is facing a residential property glut, and yet at the same time people are having trouble with getting their keys to their first homes. Most of the unsold units are priced above 450,000 ringgit, beyond what most Malaysians can afford. So what are the strategic key points Gen Y should be looking for, and what are the things to consider in getting a first home? So before we start, I would like to introduce our 3 special panelists for today. So our first panelist is Ahyat Ishak. Hello. His expertise is in helping entrepreneurs spark their financial power with smart property investment using the real estate fighter strategy. He is an entrepreneur and a long-time real estate investor. He started his first business since 1999 while in university and brought his first property in 2003. Hello, Ahyat. How are you doing today? Good. Great. All right. So our second panelist for today is none other than Alan Pun. Alan Pun has joined a list of luminaries in the Malaysian Book of Records by carving his name as the first author to launch 3 books simultaneously. He is the author of Good Tenant, Great Tenant, Please Stay On, and Untold Tenancy Stories. Welcome, Alan. How are you doing today? Awesome. Thank you for joining us. And last but definitely not least, we have Michael Tan. From a man who lost it all to owner of multiple million-dollar businesses and property coach, Michael Tan is a serial entrepreneur and the founder of Freeman Education. He is well known for his most revolutionary no money down strategy. He has helped thousands of people to get their properties with no money down. Hello, Michael. You doing good? All right. So without wasting any more time, everyone has been waiting to know how to buy their first property, especially with the property market being really, really high right now. So everyone is struggling. So maybe the first question, Ahyat, you can take this one. What are the strategic key points Gen Y should be looking for?
So before they look at what property to purchase, my advice for young people, because we are young, some people are just younger, right? Yeah,
we're always 18, right? Yeah.
Yes, I love that. So before looking at the property that you want to purchase, look at yourself first. So look at what, there's 2 keywords that they have to look into, what they are eligible for and what they can afford. So not necessarily you can afford to pay what financing that you're eligible for. So that is my key advice for young people who wants to purchase property. And it's not necessary that you have to purchase one if you're not eligible for financing and if you cannot afford. So let's look into yourself. If you're not ready yet, then let's work on the personal finance first before you go into the property ladder. Because if you go into the game, getting into a financing that you're eligible for but you cannot afford, then a lot of trouble can come. There's a lot of financial problems that you can face. You might not be able to really afford that financing that you were eligible for, and more trouble can come. So let's work on yourself first. That's my first advice.
Right, so Michael, would you like to add on?
I think Ahyat has covered pretty much everything over there. Okay, but just looking to the younger population over here, I always think that one of the things that they have to do is to understand the market a little bit more, understand their own lifestyles, because a lot of people tend to get into it just because a spur of the moment. And we're all young once upon a time, so I can understand that. But always look towards the future, like what is going to be your lifestyle going to be like. So buying a property at the beginning of the journey may not be something that is good for everyone, especially when you don't know what's going on yet. So sometimes I usually tell people, if you're not very sure where you're going to be, where you're not settled in your work yet, rent. Just to get that feeling of things. I rented for most of the time before I actually ended up buying my first property. And I was very happy to do that because I didn't know what kind of property I wanted. I thought I wanted to be in a condo, the lifestyle and all. But I then ended up at location as well. So after going around, and also the fun thing about renting is that every year you get to go and try something new, someplace new. That's a good thing as well. And then after a while, you kind of find out where you want to settle. And that's the point when you start to put in a big, heavy investment, because like what Ahyat said, it is a big commitment and it's going to be long term.
All right, awesome. So as Ahyat and Michael has mentioned that the younger generation, we're still confused as when to actually buy our properties. And a lot of us actually, some of us rush into it and some of us take a longer time to decide because we're not confident to actually pay for it. So how would you say would be the most ideal time to transform from being a tenant to a house owner? Alan, yeah.
Me? Oh, all right, okay. I thought basically you all cover everything already. I think that transformation of being a tenant to an owner is a matter of whether the person, depend on the person's financial goals and where he is at that time right now. So because if you're talking about a person who just came into the workforce, of course the first thing I would suggest is to basically rent because they may be looking for a job out of their hometown or whatever, you know. So it's not, so you don't have to be committing to a property so fast. So it's okay to be a tenant because although some people say, you know, if you are paying rent, you are putting your money down the ocean. So I don't see it that way. But then again, there are also people who are even renting at the age of 40 or 45 years old. There's no shame about it because everyone goes through a different financial point in life where they need to adjust to their commitments. So it's okay as long as you are paying for a roof above your head. That's I see it, you know. But of course, when everyone is capable in terms of affordability, then why not, you know, go into ownership. But you don't have to own it as a first home. You can always use it as a first investment property as well.
So for those who are looking forward to buying their first home, what are the things to consider in getting a first home? Is it the price or the location is more important?
I think looking into the properties, if you're talking about home ownership, I mean, you want to settle. Well, adding on to how Alan has just mentioned, basically my belief is when you move from renting to owning is probably the biggest point is the shift in your life where you start to settle. You either get married or you have your girlfriend, get married or you start to have kids. That's where you want to start to settle. So mostly for homeowners, I would say the most important thing is location.
Point.
Yes.
And then so we're talking about renting to owning right now, right? So obviously, most of us believe that getting our own house is better than renting. So do you agree on this and why? Ellen, you can take this one.
Well, I think that question was one of the reasons why I came up with my 3 books on tenant management. Because as much as we want to be having a holistic dream or idea of getting our own house, somehow, somewhere along the road, after coming to the working world, a lot of young people find out the reality that, you know, they need to manage their financials. Some of them who are not so fortunate, they get stuck. My personal story is that I bought my first property way back 18 years ago. But because I was not aware of a lot of traps, you know, I got stuck for 7 years. So, and I do not want that, and I always tell these stories to a lot of people when I give my talks because I do not want that to happen to them right now because to come back out, it takes them another cycle, all right? So, the fact of the point is that for someone to actually own something or rent something, it's back to affordability. Because if they can afford it, and there's no harm to get more and more. And I can trust me, there are more and more Gen Ys or even Gen Z who can actually own a lot of properties. So the question is yes, how come we are not learning to be some of them? My perspective is very simple, one word, education. All right, it boils back down to I think 3 of us, our common passion is basically educating the market. It's, wow, you know. So we are talking about education, and I truly applaud Channel W for doing this because this kind of message needs to reach out, not just to the policymakers or macro problems with governments and whatnot. Yes. People need to learn, you know, and if you are not here, it's either you are working very hard to make sure you put food on the table, you are not watching this, all right? And yeah, because, you know, you have a choice. And I made a decision to really leave my employment, to really become an entrepreneur, to really know what is financial is all about. So I think the first thing is education, financial education. You move to it, all right? And then we talk about property investment.
All right, so, sorry, Michael, do you have anything to add on?
You want to say something? Okay. So the issue is renting, is owning better than renting? Right,
Yes.
right. That's the question, right?
Yeah.
So if you accidentally, you know, the word in Malay is terbeli rumah. And can you imagine, there's some people who terbeli rumah. You know, it's not like terbeli kasut. is terbeli rumah. It's just amazing how people actually just accidentally buy a house because the sales girl is very pretty. Maybe.
Or the sales guy,
Or the
you never know.
sales
Right.
guy. So it depends on which angle you go. Yeah. Okay, be careful. Okay. So to me, if you purchase a property, accidentally purchase a property that you cannot afford just because on eligibility, then you're gonna live in hell on earth. You're gonna be like in prison, or because your financing could be 30, 35 years. And I heard that the minister was talking about a 40-year loan, which is just gonna be it's just gonna be crazy, right?
Yes.
So my message is, let's get our personal finances in order. The ilmu duit part, the education about your finances first. And let's see if you deserve to be a property owner. And maybe you don't deserve it yet. Let's sort that out first. Because young people today, I feel that they just want to do whatever they want with their money, and thinking, if I do something bad with my money and I need somebody to rescue me, somebody is going to come and rescue me. And it's my mom's and dad's duty in life to sort me out if I get into financial trouble.
Be careful, moms and dads.
Be careful, moms and dads. And that's just a wrong attitude, right? Because if you get into financial trouble, no one is going to come for you. No one's going to help you out. You've got to sort yourself out. So that's my main message. You've got to deserve owning a property before you could think about becoming a renter.